Alright, alright. Of course, more problems. My Stream Deck, dude, this Stream Deck thing has been a headache. I don't know why it doesn't work anymore. Did I fix it? I might have fixed it. Alright, that is a huge victory for me. You guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't worry. Nobody else does. Streaming problems. Alright, 142 watching. 5 minutes in. Alright, I mean, it is what it is. There's something weird with this stream, guys. It happens from time to time. It hasn't happened to us in a long time, so I'm not going to complain too much. Sucks for everybody else. We have some very, very important stuff to talk about here in our stream today. In just under 10 hours, I believe, and we're going to look at the exact timing here, we are set. And at this point, it is unavoidable to have the largest, that's right, the largest difficulty adjustment to the downside ever in Bitcoin history. We're going to talk about what difficulty adjustment is, what that means, why this is important, and what else? How that might impact price. We're going to get in depth on that. We're also going to look at the Bitcoin chart. We're going to take a look at some alts. It's going to be a good show. So I hope you guys enjoy it. With the weirdness here, it's going to be extra important that you guys smash that like button, vote in that poll up there. I think that counts as engagement too. Share the stream with your friends, etc. Because something's very strange. My buttons work again though, so this is a great win. Second up, let's get these out of the way. Discord link is in the chat, pinned to the top. If you click that pinned message, get in Discord. It is free. There's educational content. I put the streams charts up live after. There's a 24/7 live stream in there. Lots of value, no cost, but most importantly, on days like today when something's very weird with the stream, 163 watching for 5 minutes in is very odd, even on the slowest of days for us. You'll still get an alert, and you'll know when we're live, and you won't be the suckers watching this in the future. Sorry, people in the future. You know I love you. So jump in Discord. Last but not least, the Patreon link is also pinned to the top of the chat. This is going to be quick, but Patreon, who's it for? What is it? Patreon is our group, our private group. Comes with daily posts of technical analysis, trade setups, macro market analysis, all kinds of goodies. You can see this is very active. I put a lot of work into it. It's really a behind the scenes thing of what's going on in my head and what I'm looking at. I think it's probably good for all experiences, I believe. It comes with as well small group Q&A type things. We do have one-on-one crypto mentoring available, limited slots for that. So check it out after the stream. The important part, we're shilling it again because it's the start of the month, and the start of the month is really the best time to sign up. Patreon bills on the 1st, so every day you wait, it's just wasting a day of membership. You're not getting as much value. I don't like that. So check it out after the stream. If you've been thinking about it, pull the trigger. Don't wait. Done. Moving on. No more shilling for a while. I hate shilling. I wish it was like automated. I might record a shill and just play it to you guys. Dude, what is going on? There is something very weird with the stream. I'm gonna share with you guys. Not that, I don't know, it's not as important to you. That's okay. But it's interesting. So these are the keywords and they're tags. Doesn't really matter. Tags are not that important. But what is important here is you can see this little number 1 next to Tom Crown. And what that number is showing us is where it's showing up in search. So when you search Tom Crown, it's the first result, but it's not showing up for any of the other terms. Very strange considering even yesterday's stream showing up for a few of those keywords. I don't know what's going on, man. YouTube doesn't like my clickbait thumbnail. It's not technically clickbait. This is the biggest retarget. So screw it. I'll stop whining. Hopefully this just works out. It's super weird. I love you guys that are here anyway, so it doesn't matter. We got the best. All right. Let's get into it. Coming up, we're going to take a look at this. Great site, fork.lol. Has a great name, too. Ooh, what happened there? Interesting. We can see here, this is fork.lol, and we're looking at the difficulty readjustment, or retarget. Difficulty adjustment, retarget. 10 hours, 8 minutes to go. This is a built-in part of the Bitcoin coding. This is unavoidable. It's inevitable. Losing frames again. I guess that is too. Losing frames. Every 2016 blocks. Why? I don't know. Satoshi chose it. Don't blame me. Every 2016 blocks, Bitcoin readjusts its mining difficulty. All right. Mining, that 2016 blocks is supposed to take about 14 days. Why? Because the difficulty adjustment is the mechanic that keeps Bitcoin on a constant pace of block production, and that target is about every 10 minutes, one block. So what happens, and this is what we're seeing now, is, well, the average time for a block to be mined since the last adjustment is longer than 10 minutes. Meaning there's less hash power, there's less miners. Yes, we do have a reason for this, as much as that may or may not matter. China shutting down its mining, relocating, etc. We have a reason that we logically would see hash rate drop here. And it is having an effect. So there's not as much power going into it. And so Bitcoin's difficulty adjustment seeks to correct this. So what we see is when this goes through in 10 hours, we will see the difficulty drop. We don't know how much. This is a nice estimate. This is a nice estimate here with this 10 hours and 8 minutes. However, in theory, these could all be mined, you know, back to back to back. That's statistically impossible, but it could speed up. And in fact, we do regularly see that. If we look at this chart, what this chart is showing us is actually graphing how many days away the difficulty adjustment is. So we can see over here, this chart reached 0 on June 13th and then shot right back up to, well, close to 14. Close to 14, as that is the average, that is the typical. And as you can see, this chart is ranged up and down, and what that is mining power, hash power, entering and exiting the market. The more that it enters, the more this chart moves up, and you can see these little drops here. This is when more mining turned on. All right, and so this retarget, we commonly do see into the end here, mining either pick up or drop off into the retarget. That's pretty normal. So that 10 hours is an estimate. It is not exact. And we would even expect some change into it in the mining power. Anyway, it is estimating that we're going to see a difficulty drop of nearly 30%. Guys, this is the biggest, I believe, by far. I don't think it's even close. I should probably pull this up. I was a mess trying to figure out what was wrong with the stream before this. It did not get to do everything I wanted. So let's pull up another site that is not going to show up on Google. There we go. We're going to go to btc.com and we're going to look at the historic difficulty adjustments. So this is maybe going to give you a good picture of why this is record breaking, why this is actually significant. When we look back, we see that June 13th, we had a -5, before that -15, before that +21. So this does ebb and flow. We've looked at it recently. We made a chart. There's no exact correlation, I would say. I think if there is one, it's weak, of difficulty adjusting up and down and that impacting price. I think it's a weak correlation. But when we look back, we can see there's this mostly moves up. During long bearish periods, we do see it move down. We saw in 2020, late 2020, we saw -16, but that's still only about half of what we're looking at today. Let's go all the way down, see if we can find it. See if we find anything close. -15, -16 really seems to be about the biggest negative adjustment we've ever had. We have, however, had larger positive adjustments. In Bitcoin's early days, it did adjust up. If we go all the way to the bottom, it should have all of them. We've seen it jump up 57%, 50%, 100%. This is when very few actors were mining. So that is somewhat reasonable to see. It's somewhat reasonable. But we don't see these massive drops in difficulty. So it is an interesting scenario to be in. Here's an 18. That's the biggest one I can find outside of... My headphones weren't on this whole time. That's the biggest one I've been able to find here. I've scrolled through. And so it's not just that it's the largest, because a lot of the time when people say, oh, it's a new all-time high, whatever they're referring to, it's maybe a few percent higher. You know, we're talking like Bitcoin went to 62, then went to 65. That is a new all-time high. It did break records, but is it significant? Might be able to make the argument either way. However, this is like a magnitude bigger of an adjustment. We looked back, I didn't look through the whole history, but we see 16%, 15%, and now we're gearing up here today for minus 28. It could, as I said, we expect some change into this retargeting, and so that could even get larger. It could also shrink somewhat, but it's going to be pretty close to 28%. So what this is doing is it is going to aim to keep Bitcoin producing blocks every 10 minutes, as I said. And it does that by making it easier to mine. So what does that mean, making it easier to mine? We refer to difficulty. And I think that's something that's rare in Bitcoin, is for something to be intuitive. Difficulty is difficulty. It's how hard it is to mine, how complicated the hash puzzles are that miners have to solve to be rewarded with the newly minted Bitcoin. When difficulty adjusts up, and we do see that commonly in sustained bullish trends, when more miners are jumping in, FOMOing in, and when that happens, mining actually becomes less profitable. If it's 10% harder to mine, then it's 10% less profitable. We can almost interchange difficulty and profitability. You technically can't, but I think that's a really easy way to understand it. When difficulty goes up, mining becomes less profitable, and that is if there's no other changes, if price stays exactly the same. So what we're seeing here is potentially negative 30% difficulty. That means tomorrow, Bitcoin mining may become almost a third more profitable than it is today. That is big. That is ridiculous. If you were at home mining right now, in 10 hours, you may be 30% more profitable. What I expect here with this is there's a void. There's a void. China shut down mining. There's a void of miners that aren't active right now. Mining becomes more profitable. I think rationally we can conclude that new actors, meaning new miners, are going to seek to fill that void. They're going to go after that profit margin. This will open up a lot of potentially even old hardware that wasn't being used this year, maybe now can be used to mine. It's really a balancing mechanism, at its core. When people are trying too hard, it makes it even harder. And when people aren't trying hard enough, it makes it easier. Oh man, what? I should have had notes. I'm terrible. 30% more profitable. Ah, yes, of course. And so how does this relay, or what implications here do we have? What does this mean? I don't care if miners are more profitable. I'm not mining. Why does that matter to me? I think, something that could be said is, does more or new miners entering the space impact price? I would say absolutely. However, I would say almost certainly not in the short term. That's going to be a long-term thing. People are investing in hardware. People are investing in electricity, in the space to house these mining operations. That is investment. And so that is investment directly into the ecosystem. But I don't think that they necessarily are going to bring higher prices just because of that, or lower prices just because of that. I do have some notes here, crap. I should have pulled them up. All right. So yes, how does this impact you? That's where I was. We have been seeing sideways price trading. Essentially, we had an all-time high in May. We crashed down, biggest crash ever, right? To 30,000. We've traded slightly lower. We haven't gone back to those lows yet, but this has been almost all sideways. Nothing has really changed. It's pretty much equally as bearish as it looked, even the few days after the price tanked so hard. I propose that because this market has been so sideways, and now we have an event, just an event, some kind of stick to poke Bitcoin, I think that it is rational to not necessarily expect one price change or the other, meaning up or down, but to expect volatility. I think a game theory, if we put our game theory hats on, if you are a mega whale miner, and you're about to start making more money on what you are doing, it might make sense to try to drive price up and take advantage of a compounding gain. Your profit margins would compound because now it is easier to acquire something, and that which you acquire is worth more. I think there's an argument to be made there, but that is very much not technical analysis. That's trying to get into the head, the psychology of the actors in the market. So it's certainly not tradable. With high probability, I can say that into this difficulty adjustment or soon after, so 10 hours from now, I think we see a break. The chart, if we looked at it, a 2-cent take, we'd probably say down. The chart looks really bearish. There's really not a lot of bullish stuff on this chart. Still isn't. But that isn't guaranteed. I think that this is going to be the shock that wakes us up out of this sideways trading, and I, for one, welcome it. I cannot stand this range forever. Oh my goodness. All right, nice. Now we have a healthier amount of viewers here, 350. Welcome, guys. You just missed most of the difficulty adjustment, most of the unique content to this episode, but we are going to get into TA, and I do welcome the chat to discuss these ideas. I want to hear your ideas. I'd like to see what you guys think about this, because this has never happened. We've never seen a difficulty adjustment of this size, and so it's all going to be speculation. I think with total confidence I can say that I'm really happy that it isn't in the reverse. I'm very happy that it's not in the reverse. Why is that? If you've been in crypto a long time, been in Bitcoin a long time, many years, you'll remember a very specific FUD where people were talking about a death spiral. Now, the death spiral sounds scary, and I think that's the point of it. It doesn't really exist in reality. The concept behind the death spiral is Bitcoin's price drops, okay? After a period of its difficulty being very pushed very, very hard for a very long time. So basically, difficulty gets driven up, price drops, and now it's not profitable for people to mine, which then produces blocks so slowly that it could, in theory, drive away everyone else. There would be no profitability. It would scare away miners, and I guess in their heads that means that, like, then everyone stops mining and the network stops. I think it's something that everyone in Bitcoin should think about at some point. I don't believe that that is ever going to happen. We have seen Bitcoin go to prices and stay there for long periods of time where mining wasn't profitable. There was no death spiral. However, if we were seeing difficulty adjust up here in a record-breaking way, in the biggest adjustment ever, I might see that as spooky. I might see that as spooky because price is down. If difficulty continues up, yeah, there's less incentive for miners. It's interesting that I can make the statement that way, but I am hesitant to make it the other direction. Price down, difficulty down. Is that good if price up? If price down, difficulty up. That would be the negative that I said. So this is price down, difficulty down. Huh. Yeah, well, that would be interesting. It's something to look into, but careful. If you're easily spooked or easily fudded, don't look into this now. This is not for you today. It is, if it would have or could have ever happened, I think it would have. I think it's just a silly fuds. Yeah. All right, so the chart. We did a super in-depth look at the chart yesterday, so we will look at it again. We're going to update what we were looking at yesterday, and I think that is going to start. Let's peek this monthly. Obviously hasn't traded above our 35,000 level to flip to a green candle this month in July. You can see there is literally no wick on top of this candle. If you're worried about it not even going back up to 35,000, I think that you may be overreacting. If you look back at Bitcoin's history on our monthly closes, I'd challenge anyone to bring me a candle that doesn't have a wick on the top and the bottom on a monthly for Bitcoin. Challenge. You know, I say that and then I might see one. Nope. See, there's still, I know it'll be like splitting hairs at times, but there is still a wick here. Literally, this monthly and quarterly dropped. It dropped as it rolled over, and it did not come back up. We have not tested the open of the month. If you were here yesterday, we were talking about how that is likely a spot of resistance. However, it's also a high probability that we do test it, because there just doesn't exist, this is only Coinbase, there just doesn't exist a monthly that doesn't have a wick on the top and the bottom. Doesn't exist. If you can find one, I'll owe you a beer. I don't know. So very, very high probability that we do see some kind of move to test that open. That's really the important value there, is that 3,500 flips it from red to green. We have 58.8 above us as our monthly and quarterly resistance, and we have the 28,990. And this is actually not necessarily support, though it did act as support. This is the yearly open. You can see we came close. We tested it last month. It got bought up. And so now this candle opening red, I mean, it just seems par for the course. You have 3 reds, it's going to open red. What we don't want to see is trading lower. We don't want to trade lower than June. If we can stay above this yearly open, then I think we do close July green, which I've been long expecting anyway, so hopefully I'm right. I guess another important value we didn't talk about yesterday would be 37.2. That would be the bullish engulfing monthly for July versus June. So that's actually an important value as well, 37.2. But that really not relevant until we get to that 35 area. So nothing is going to have changed in our indicators for the monthly, but the weekly, if you remember as well, we were looking at weekly's MACD. We were looking because we see a long string, there we go, of waning selling momentum. Now only 2 days and 4 hours away. It's getting much closer, much faster. 2 days and 4 hours to go. This candle hasn't moved, so I'm really of the same opinion as when we looked at it yesterday. Doesn't really matter till it closes. We could easily see that sell off, and we could see momentum on the sell side pick up on MACD again and print one of these bright red candles. Or we could even see it be bought up by the end of the week, and we could see this close closer to buying momentum. There is even a possibility that it closes in buying momentum. That would take an epic move to the upside. I'm not going to hold my breath for that. But 4 weekly candles closing with waning selling momentum in a row would be an excellent sign for recovery. Excellent sign. Momentum on bigger time frames. Yes, it does have some fake outs, but typically once it starts trending a direction, it continues until it rolls over. I think right here is an excellent example of that. Right there, we see buying momentum increased. It's over. See, buying momentum increased, it waned, and it rolled over. Selling momentum increased, it waned, it rolled over. So we saw as soon as momentum, I want this not to be red, as soon as momentum on these high time frames closes without gaining in the direction it's in, so here would be buying. As soon as it closes with waning momentum, it rolls over until the selling momentum closes, waning, meaning less selling momentum or pressure versus the previous period, until it rolls over. We do have some of these, but it's much cleaner. I think yesterday I gave an example. I just zoomed into any given time frame. This is like 15, maybe put on like 5. If we go to these smaller time frames, it becomes much choppier. We see a lot more fake outs. We see a lot more instances of momentum waning in one direction and then picking back up out of nowhere. So that is a good sign, and it's honestly one of the only bullish things in my opinion on the chart is that weekly momentum. I really would like to see it close in the condition it's in now. Only 2 days away. We'll see what happens. Let's see what happens. Weekly 20, as always, sitting above us, taunting us, begging us to come test it. Will we? I don't know, but that is what I think is going to happen. That is my opinion. I don't know the future. Sorry, guys. 48,000-ish. Lots of TA has been done on this channel, so I don't want to go over it too much. There's lots of things pointing to that price level. The most important, I can just get this one out. The most important of which is every bear market ever in Bitcoin's history since the 20 weekly started painting has kicked off with a move similar to what we saw here. A weekly candle breaking through the 20, closing below it. Every single bear market. However, we've also seen in every single bear market, price has come back to test that 20 as resistance. This is the biggest argument. This is the biggest real reason that I'm looking for this price value is every single bear market starts by losing the 20, back testing it as resistance, and then entering some kind of bearish consolidating accumulation phase. So if we don't, because of course it's possible that this time's different, right? You guys know I hate saying that because I think it is really bad habit enforcing. It's basically like saying we have a pattern, but instead of going through this pattern or looking at this pattern, I'm just going to wildly guess, and somehow that's going to be more valid than what we've seen. History and the past in history doesn't predict the future, but it's a much better predictor than guessing, than just blindly choosing. Much, much better. So weekly, looking for that. Yeah, nothing's changed there. The daily, there is also one new thing, which is great. One new thing. These headphones are dead. That stinks. One new thing. Yesterday and today. So there's 3 hours left on today's candle. But you can see this little annotation here. This is new. We have a daily double bottom. It's actually very clean as well. Double bottoms for me in crypto, I say this about double tops and double bottoms, they are reversal patterns in textbook TA and in the Crown Handbook of Trading. But I don't view them in crypto as specifically strong reversals. I know that stinks. I really want it to be. But in general, we see something like this. If we look at the candle closes, we have a perfect double bottom here, basically, on these candle closes on the daily. And yes, price did reverse, right? We did see a move to the upside, but it wasn't specifically strong. What's interesting is we saw this on a bigger or a longer time frame here, and now potentially we're seeing it back to back on the daily. So maybe this is a smaller iteration of that pattern playing out. Actually, shout out to Crypto Jack on Twitch, crypto with a 0 instead of a no, Jack. I was watching a stream yesterday as a friend of mine, and I told him about my projections and stuff because he was asking, and he said something along the lines of, he's bearish, so of course they went here. Something along the lines of maybe we're seeing this pattern then play out on a smaller time frame. I thought that was really a good look at it. I don't necessarily believe that's what is going to happen, but I thought it was a good look at it because they're extremely similar. This does look kind of like this pattern playing out on a faster time frame. So that might look something like this. Oh, wait, double bottom, something like back to the trend line and then rejected. Yeah. Shout out to him though. I'm going to be on his channel soon, or I guess we're going to dual stream. I don't know. We're going to hang out and chat about TA in the markets. It'd be good talk because he's been bearish for a while. I'll give him credit. He's been bearish. He didn't jump on the bandwagon after it dropped. And you guys know me. I'm always bullish. I don't believe price only goes up, but long term, I just think it's a bad bet to bet against Bitcoin. And I think we have a very good relationship. He's a really intelligent guy, so I think our conversation is going to be great to watch. I'm excited. Go follow him on Twitch, by the way. Crypto with a 0 Jack. Yeah, so that's our new thing. We have a double bottom on the daily. We have 3 hours to go. This still could be invalidated. Rule of Tom Crown's handbook trading #1 is don't count a candle till it closes. You cannot count a candle till it closes. I can't tell you what percent of people get tripped up by this when they start trading. They see a pattern from a brand new candle, like say a monthly opens and it's red, and now they're saying, oh, it's 3 crows, or whatever. That's not a real example right now, but things like that where they're using the current candle that just opened, and especially if they're just opened, if they're very close to being closed, maybe if there's 1% of the candle left, the time-wise, so like that would be like half an hour in a daily, you still shouldn't count it, but you might be able to start kind of pulling together implications, ideas, etc. This isn't closing though. 3 hours if we don't trade lower. I would expect into tomorrow some kind of rally. It could easily again be something like this where we hit that trend line and just get rejected. But that double bottom is you usually do see a reversal. It's just not the strongest. Not the strongest. That's just my opinion though. Something not so spicy or spicy depending on how you look at it is our daily moving averages. So price here, you can see this is not really looking good. We have the 100 and the 200 daily looking to death cross, looking to cross bearishly above us. That was all the rage back in June, the death cross, when the 50 and the 200 crossed bearishly. Now we may see it on the 100 and the 200. At this point, it looks basically unavoidable. It would take really high prices really quickly for this 100 to kind of near miss the 200. The redeeming factor here is the 200 is still trending up. The larger moving average still trending up, the green here. So that is a redeeming factor, but in general, that would not be a good sign. And price has been extremely suppressed by this 20 daily. I mean, how many hits of it did we have? 1 rejection. I'll take that as 2, 3. Price is just being weighed down, pressed down by this 20 daily. While that's certainly not ideal and not bullish, it may suggest that when it does break it, it may look for a big move. We've seen that happen a lot with these moving averages when we fail to break through them to the upside or downside. After we've tested them multiple times, just like supports and resistances, the more they're tested, the weaker they become. And typically you see a larger move than result. Anyway, man, all those stream problems really threw me off my game today. I was in the zone yesterday. I was in the zone this afternoon, and then the computer was being all weird, and I just got kind of thrown out of it. I was so put together. Just pretend like I'm really nailing it right now. Anyway, daily momentum still waning. Yesterday it was looking to close waning. It did. Today, potentially the same thing. Not bullish either. However, as long as MACD doesn't look to make a lower low, if it does roll over like this, that'd be a lower low in our MACD. As long as it doesn't do that, it's not that threatening. We could easily see a higher low, and we could even then see a lower high. We could see more coiling, and you can even kind of squint your eyes and see that momentum is kind of being lost in both directions, and that is very typical. It's very typical before a big move. This is very typical. Ooh, that daily. Dang it, daily. The daily on Market Cypher was looking gorgeous. It was. It doesn't look so gorgeous now. No chart. It's hard for me, guys. I've seen this happen before. It's hard for me to be bearish ever, you know that? But like specifically when the chart is so obviously bearish. There's nothing here, but price really hasn't done anything about it. I would expect if the chart was truly as bearish, or if price was really truly as bearish as the chart, we would have seen it move to the downside already. Just not there. 12 hour just rolling into selling momentum. 3 hours for that close, so that may change as well. Real quick, back in the daily, we did have, and we still do have, bullish divergence on our lows here as our price lows came down and our RSI lows came up. That's bullish divergence. That is a piece of evidence to make a bullish case. To make a bullish case, but it doesn't guarantee anything. Nothing in TA does. It's not a magic bullet, unfortunately. This 4 hour, in yesterday's stream, we were really looking for that test of 32.3, our support below us. Did not happen yet, obviously. Really has just traded sideways since that stream. Did not hit our entry from... Let me set up some kind of trade. What was it? Not this one. Why even bother? Oh, there it is. We set this trade up yesterday looking for a solid scalp back to the monthly open. Hasn't been triggered yet. Hasn't been stopped. We haven't hit the take profit. Just sideways. What's the channel only up? I'm going to make a new channel called Only Sideways. Nobody will watch it because it'll be really boring. Yeah. What I do like here on the 4 hour, though, is we do see somewhat of a rounding bottom. Somewhat of a rounding bottom. This isn't confirmed yet. This is maybe the most similar thing on the chart I see. Maybe something like this. Yeah, those look good. Might be seeing a rounding bottom. That's kind of maybe looking into it too much. Money flow on the 4 hour actually still looking healthy even though our momentum is not. RSI, that's cool. That's a lot easier to see what I was talking about, rounding bottom there on RSI. That's much cleaner. Something that actually Jack and I kind of talked about yesterday while streaming was how choppy this chart looks. This is the choppiest looking chart I think I've ever seen really in Bitcoin. I know I felt that way before, but it's super choppy. There's really, well, we have a break of the high range, a break of the low range, but all of the trading is right here. Just an interesting observation. I showed him the no wicks tricks yesterday. He thought that was interesting. I'll do that for you guys here. I've been taking the wicks off. When price action is really, really choppy like we see in the last month, that means tall wicks on top, deep low wicks on the bottom of candles on virtually every candle. That's what I call choppy. It means that the trading range is not super defined. It's not clear, and certainly stops are being hunted actively when that's the case. So I've been taking off the wicks. I've done this before. I haven't done it really until mid-May, and I hadn't done it in a while. And it does reduce a lot of the chop. And when you do take the wicks off right here, this chart actually becomes super clean. You have a virtually perfect double bottom here on the daily. You have it again down here. You have a virtually perfect double top on the daily. Maybe we get another one. Who knows? Just kind of speculating. If you're having trouble even viewing the chart right now, I would recommend going to TradingView, just right-click your chart, go to Settings. Up at the top symbol, wicks can be turned on and off. Fun fact, you can make your wicks a different color if you want. There we go. Now we have yellow wicks. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it. It's freaking terrible. Looks like, I don't know, centipede, something weird. Yeah, learning lessons brought to you by Tom Crown. Let's see. Hourly, you can see that rounding. Is there any kind of... No, there's nothing. There's really nothing. And maybe there's some bullish divergence here that's super choppy as well. Money flow is negative on the hourly. Does look to be rolling over. That would be a pleasant surprise. We're really where we were yesterday. So I totally forgot about the poll going on. I've totally forgotten about everything. I'm so out of it right now. But I'm having a good time, so thanks for putting up with me. Let's see, 500-ish. Nice, our numbers are good. Nice, welcome, dudes and dudettes and dudes. 501 watching. Nice. Great to have you guys. For those of you who are new here, we are live all the time, putting out new content, keeping up to date with TA day to day. If you're not yet, hit that subscribe button. Join our family. Come watch, come TA with us, as well as Smash the like button, even if you aren't new. Please smash the like button. We have 200 likes, almost 500 watching. That's low numbers for us. Likes are really important to YouTube, not to me. I don't care about likes. But YouTube essentially shows us to more people depending on how much engagement the stream gets. Likes are engagement. Chatting in the stream is engagement. Voting in the poll that is pinned to the top of the chat, that's engagement. Subscribing is engagement. So I appreciate you guys. Really does help get our content in front of more eyes when you guys do that. Let's, yeah. Also, join the Discord. We were totally shadow banned at the start of this episode. Hasn't happened in a while. YouTube not sending out alerts, not showing our stream to people. If you're in Discord, you'll always get the alerts when we go live. There's 24/7 live streams there. Educational content. It's free, but really it's the best way to keep up with everybody and everything going on. So hopefully you guys pop in there. And let's just round out the shill here. Patron. Check out the Patron. If you're looking to invest in yourself, upgrade your trade, check out the Patron. It's the start of the month. It's the best time to sign up. Best value for your buck. Comes with daily publishes of technical analysis, trade setups, macro market analysis, news interpretation, all kinds of goodies. I put a lot of work into it, so check it out. All right, shill's done. I hate shilling, man. I need to hire someone to shill for me. So I'm going to close this poll. 49%. 500 votes. So the chat has decided. 50% of you say that mining becoming more profitable is bullish for price. I would probably agree. We talked about it. I went through it earlier in the episode. If you're just joining us, DVR is enabled. However, after the stream, there will be timestamps applied. So you'll be able to go back and rewatch that if you missed it. I would agree. I would agree because it is very common to see difficulty increasing with price during a rally before it reverses. So I think we can apply that logic in verse and say that becoming more profitable is likely good for price. And there is reasoning as well behind that. If you're a miner and you're making a thicker profit margin, you don't have as much demand to sell. You don't have to sell as much of your mined rewards to cover your costs as you would if the profitability was lower. Mining is not actually that huge of a pressure on the market anymore, though. After the halving in 2020, what is it? 6.25 Bitcoin, right? Are created every 10 minutes. 1,440 minutes in a day. So that's 144 times 6.25. That's how many Bitcoin are created every day. That might sound like a lot of money. And I mean, it is, but it isn't as much pressure as it once was, say, Bitcoin at 20,000, when the block reward was 12 Bitcoin. That's a lot more pressure, a lot thinner margins. It's interesting. Interesting. So let's get to the chat. What's up? James Faulkner, of course, are here. I love you, my friend. And Sylv. Hey, you, Tom. What am I doing? I am transparent. I don't know, but I love you, darling. Jenny C, what is up? Good to see you. Jenny C, are you bullish or bearish now? The price is pumping. Going back up to 47. I mean, I like your number. Vesamir, how you doing, my friend? Beardy Day, my bro. Alchemist. Storm the... Dude, none of that. Oh, you'll watch you get arrested. None of that. No political stuff here, guys. Por favor. We shy away. Bitcoin does not care about your politics. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. Bitcoin doesn't care. Doesn't have an opinion. Third proverb. What's up, my friend? John A. Orlando 2020 Murrick. John A. again. Randy Langston. I don't. Tower. Let's see the subscribers. I apologize if anyone's like super chat or anything. Maybe they haven't, but my headphones I think are dead now. So I haven't gotten any alerts. Looks like we've had quite a few subscribers. Shakura, Andrew Wong, Moroccan, Element 115, Kuldeep, Moon the Inn, NC, Lucas Barta. Welcome, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Welcome to our fam. Make sure you guys jump in Discord. New thing for Discord because there's so many bots now. You have to verify if you're joining. If you were already a member, you got grandfathered in. All you have to do is click the green checkmark emoji in the verified channel. It's the only one you should really be able to see when you join at first. There we are. I'll just freaking show you guys so there's no question. No question here. Right here. Yeah, no, that's not working. I hate you, Windows. There we go. All right. That's so difficult to see. Okay. Anyway, right over here, the first message, verify or not scam bot. Just click that green box with the check in it, the emoji there. It'll delete it. It'll give you your membership role. And you'll be able to join everybody there. Everybody here on Discord. So it seems like we did have quite a few people join right on. More than expected. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you. Chat. You know what? Chat seems a little calm. Seems too calm. No, I think we should, how do we hype up the chat here? How do we hype up the chat? What's up, Louis FX? Isn't that whole 1 hour on your screen a falling wedge with breakout and support outside of it? Yeah. I mean, I see what you're going for. Yeah, we take a look at it. Screw it. So I think what pattern it is like not super important, but you guys know I'm a chart nerd. I would probably call this a descending channel, but a descending channel and a descending wedge, they're structurally different, but they suggest the same thing, a break to the upside. So what Mr. Louis was saying is, didn't it break the trend and backtest it? Mr. Louis would be correct. You'd be correct, actually. I didn't look at it. Looking at our wick highs here, we see 1, 2, just near miss, hits to our trend. We broke our trend, rejected from, looks like that hourly resistance there. And now we have touched the back of the trend line. A bounce from here would be great. Be a nice bullish bounce, and guess where I would aim? Probably right here. That's probably what I'd look for. If we can break that hourly resistance, was that 33,782, I would look for that monthly, quarterly open price to be tested. It's a good eye. It's a good eye. I didn't look, but we don't really have any follow through here. I think what I see here, kind of more than anything, maybe I should get a cleaner chart. Cleaner. Turn off the autosave and just trash it. Boom. What I see here on the hourly, invert the scale, because man, you just see stuff better when I invert it. We have an unvalidated head and shoulders. We have a neckline. 33787. We need to do 2 things to get this pattern completed. And that would be trade and break the neckline. Then back test the neckline. There it is. Then this would be a beautiful head and shoulders. However, guys, I have the chart inverted just so you can visualize this better. This would actually be an inverted head and shoulders, which would suggest a move to the upside instead of a move to the downside like a head and shoulders would. We just don't have it yet. We just don't have it yet. Haven't seen too much follow through here, but it's a good eye, man. That trend and back test are both very clean. So pat yourself on the back, my friend. Thanks for bringing it up. It's always nice to have stuff to talk about. Even down on the 15-minute, you can see price interacting with that trend line. But until we break that neckline, you could still just see something like this. Just kind of floppy price action and then a break. But the whole theme of this episode was our retarget here. How long? Let's see. Let's check up on our retarget. Retarget now 9 hours, 40 minutes away, estimated. That's about right. We've been live for probably, actually have no idea how long we've been live for. 54 minutes, so an hour's passed. Yeah, that's about right. About an hour. So this retarget is looking pretty on trajectory. 9 hours would be So it's almost 6 east. Plus 6 would be midnight. 3, like 3 in the morning East time ish for that retarget. And as we were saying earlier, this is really where I'm going to expect the volatility. That is where I expect we see the break, whether that's to the upside or the downside. We don't really know. The chart would probably say to the downside. But I really doubt we're going to see too much price action until we are on the cusp of that. And it's not that a difficulty adjustment directly impacts price. I really just think it's more of a game theory thing where big actors, after all this sideways trading, are going to look to take advantage of something happening. Nothing happening. We kind of were looking for the same thing on July's open, as we had the quarterly Q2 close and we had June's monthly close. And July opened and Q3 opened. We were kind of looking at that as a catalyst for some volatility. But you guys, you know what's happened since. Nothing. Nothing has happened. Just trading in the range. No volatility, really. And so that was failed catalyst trigger. But we have this other one coming up. And I think the kind of double dip for me on this is that you guys saw the thumbnail. You see the title. It's going to be really easy to freak people out over this because they don't know what it is. They don't know. And if they see biggest thing ever, they're going to drive emotion. They're going to whip up some kind of emotional response. That's always what they want. They always want an emotional response because emotional actors don't make rational decisions. They don't make decisions that are in their best interest. They make decisions that are in the interest of whatever emotional state they're in. So I think it's going to get taken advantage of. That's my hypothesis. 420 watching right on. Blaze it. All right. Let's see. Mr. Durham. Josh, stop talking about politics. I love you. No politics. Yeah, guys, dude, I don't care what kind of side of the aisle, if you're in the U.S., left, right, I don't know, where you are, what your belief is, just our rule. Sorry. Like, just no politics. It does not work on internet chats. Does not. Bitcoin, yes. What's up, Double Flush? Who was the first person to say the T word? We have AB tested this to death. A live internet chat cannot handle adult conversations. Josh, your butt. Boom. OH. Blaze it. Man. I was in such the mindset, man. I was so geared up to stream today. Goofed me up. Got goofed up. Marcel. What do I think about Wick Off? Wick Off. Wick Off's just the flavor of the week. Flavor of the month, flavor of the week. So, similar to other things, if you're new, you probably have never heard people talk about. I don't know what really comes to mind. CME gaps. What else comes to mind? Death Cross. There you go. It's just the hype. I don't think Wyckoff is a literal thing. I think it is describing market dynamics and how markets flow, and in that sense, it's correct. But it's just the hype. It's just what people are paying attention to. Sure, we could be seeing redistribution here. We could see a leg down. We could be seeing accumulation here. We could see a leg up. We would assign it this Wyckoff pattern, right? But what's going to happen? So say that does happen by chance. Now everyone's going to be looking for it the next time. And it's not going to play out the next time. These flavors of the month tend to work until everyone's following them and then they pull the rug. So I wouldn't invest too much of your brain power to them. That's kind of it. Something interesting, though. I did this earlier in the episode. Might as well do it again. If you take the wicks off of this chart, I keep going back to it. Take the wicks off this chart, you really do have almost a perfect wick off distribution up here at our high. And you have almost a perfect wick off accumulation here at our low. This is again without the wicks, so this is kind of cherry picking information. Not my favorite thing to do. But without the wicks, it's just so visible. I don't trust anything that's visible in crypto, to be honest. It doesn't have to be visible. So if it is, anything, this applies to anything. Orders in an order book, whatever. Anything in crypto, if it doesn't have to be visible, and it is, that means there is some incentive. There's some reason. And unfortunately, that reason is never for you or me or anyone here to like trade well or do well. It's always a reason for whoever is doing it to gain. So take advantage of us. It's clean. It's cool. I'm looking for that move to the upside. So this, maybe this is accumulation and we see that move to the upside. It will be just like a matter of time until no one talks about wick off anymore and everyone's on to the next thing. I don't know what that'll be, but it just comes in cycles. And oof, here we go. Thought we had, I don't have the wicks on. It's getting me all excited. I forgot. Awesome. 27 minutes. Could see an hourly. Lewis pointing out that break and bump kind of thing here on this trend line. 26 minutes to go. Plenty of time for anything to happen. But at the moment, the current candle off of that trend line, the bump, is bullish engulfing. That would be a good way. That's what I was saying when we first looked at it, is we don't see any follow through. It's kind of just hit it and hasn't gone anywhere. To close a nice bullish engulfing candle here, this is just the hourly. But that could translate out to the 4. And maybe you see it on the 4. That actually lines up really well. Would be the beginning or a good signal that we are looking potentially to paint that inverse head and shoulders by, again, breaking that neckline, back testing that neckline, and then making a measured move. Speaking of that measured move, I swear if it lines up with that open, it's close, but it's not perfect. And that's the 2618. It's close. Wonder if I do it this way. Nope. It was a fun thought experiment. Yeah, that would be the first kind of step to painting this. Nice little engulf candle off that trend line. That even looks right. Now I'm like pretty confident this is how it's going to play out. So we have this little rounding bottom here, right? And fractals are patterns are big patterns that repeat in smaller iterations, and those smaller iterations create that bigger pattern. So it's like a bunch of triangles. I guess triangles are a fractal. If you have a big triangle, it can be made up of tons of small triangles, and those side by side make a big triangle. So we have, this is super small time frame, but I'm bored, or not bored, I just don't know what to talk about. We have this rounded bottom here, and we can even see that rounding attribute on this price action recently. An inverse head and shoulders could play out very round and really complete that pattern. That would actually, it just looks really good to me. That's interesting. Huh. Regardless of how good it looks, because we have this defined pattern, that's why patterns are useful, because we can define things. We can define when something's not in a pattern, and we can define when it is in a pattern, when it's valid and invalid. None of it really matters unless 33787 breaks again. No matter how bullish this candle looks, it doesn't matter. We need to break the neckline. You don't actually have to backtest it. You typically do on head and shoulders patterns, but you have to break the neckline again. And until then, I mean, this candle could go right up to here and stop, and it wouldn't really make a difference. But it is the setup. You know, it's like the potential. The ingredients are there. I like it. What's up, Gustavo? Trujillo. Series of higher lows. Wonder what time frame he's talking about. Because there are some. What do you think about borrowing $1 billion for a day that earns 2 to 3 APY? You instantly make 50K a day. Sten Kelder, you lend me $1 billion. I think that's a great idea. Great idea. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that offer. It's really generous. Kilo Soba, Wickoff happens absolutely everywhere and all the time. So I mean, I agree and disagree. I really, exactly what I just said. Wickoff is describing expansion and contraction the same way Elliott Wave does, the same way many things do. But the literal schematic, that's really where I object to both of those concepts, actually. Price action does not move in a schematic. When it does, it's being painted. It's being made to look that way, at least in crypto. Crypto is not an organic market for price action. It is 100% manipulation of the price. It's up and down. It's just people pushing the order books. So I don't trust any. I don't trust anything I can see, anything clear. All the things. Can't remember the title. Bear cross, bull cross. To that effect. Mining thingy, legit factor. I think it's worth talking about. I think it was. That's why I made the episode about it. I think it's worth talking about. And really the reason it's worth talking about, I wanted to get ahead of it because I could sense FUD brewing. I could sense something. Like, of course, I'm like joking a little bit, but I could just see it really easily being used as a weapon for FUD. And so I want to get ahead of it. I wanted to get out there. I wanted to get the scary clickbait thing and tell people how this is like the biggest of record breaking is coming in 10 hours, blah, blah, blah. And then just show you guys how what it really is so you have an understanding. That way, if you do see those articles, you can interpret them for yourself. You can decide if it's bearish or bullish. Wow. I don't think I've ever had so many technical issues, and man, I have a lot of technical issues sometimes. That's so weird. This is so weird. How is this video ranking number 11 for Tom Crown? Every live video is ranks number 1 for Tom Crown. There's something very goofy with this stream. I could tell from the second I hit go live. I could tell. It just felt weird. It was like, usually we have like 50 people before it starts. We only had like 8. Very odd. I don't know. What could possibly be wrong though? I have an idea. Let's try this. I don't know. This probably won't help. Also, I'm going to get rid of that stupid emoji in the title. I have had bad, I don't know. Maybe that's in my head, but I've definitely noticed a correlation between having an emoji first and like weird search stuff. Maybe it thinks it's like a word. That didn't do anything. Well, at least for number 1 for Bitcoin Live, that's a good one. I don't know what's going on today, guys. You tell me. You tell me. Oh, man, lots of new people in the Discord. Right on. Right on. I guess we have edited video coming up here. Might be published today. That'd be exciting. Oh, Meg. 400 watching still. It's a good number. I don't know how you guys got here though. Unless you searched Bitcoin Live, you certainly didn't find us like any other way. Maybe suggested. YouTube maybe just being weird. I'm over it. Not really, but I'll just say I'm over it. Dude, there we go. Dylan Crotieu. I knew something. I knew it. The video didn't say you were live until you clicked on it. I I knew it, man. Call for that bump. That's actually pretty sweet. It is you. Well, darling, please do me that favor. Been shadow following Renee Silva. That's right, man. You have been. You've been here through all the shadows. I appreciate that. It's good to see you, brother. What's up, Simon, my man? Chris Collar, Greg Peters, Cal J. Great stream. Checking out XRP? Yeah, for Cal J. We'll check out XRP then. For how long have I been streaming? 56 minutes. Jam, dude. Jam Chanthong reminding me of actually something significant that I should have brought up already, but did not think about it. So ADA, our TA on ADA yesterday, this was not our projection. This was the not projection. Seemingly looking spot on here, as the daily's now looking to close above the neckline here in Bitcoin pair. If you have trouble visualizing that, that would look like that. But there is some news to accompany ADA, and I know you guys love news. I'm not as big of a fan. I know you guys love news. So Grayscale added ADA to its large cap trust. That's actually pretty big news. That's actually pretty big news. Not gonna lie. It hasn't been accompanied by a dollar change, USD pair change, right? No, not really. Still trading at that $1.31. This is... I ranted about this level yesterday, how important this is going to be if we see a break to the upside on ADA, that is likely the floor. $1.31. If we see a significant upside, we break the all-time high. I could see us coming back maybe in a bear market to test $1.31. And ADA is not my favorite coin. I own a good amount of it, but it's, I'm not saying this because I'm shilling it or something. It just looks strong. If you go back in the streams, I've been saying that since the sell-off, literally a day or two after the sell-off. It might have been that same day. Just saying, wow, ADA, this chart is the most bullish chart in crypto. It's weird. And I guess for those of you who weren't here yesterday, important note though, is this looks crazy strong. I do think probability leans to breaking to the upside, and then maybe this is tested as support in like a bear market. However, the issue is, as strong as this looks, say Bitcoin falls to some of these numbers people are talking about, ADA is going to get dragged down with it. Here's the problem, is if you lose this level, this consolidation area, especially if you get a nasty little back test, now instead of having that concrete support that makes ADA's chart look amazing right now, you have a concrete roof above you. ADA will get so punished, so punished if it loses this level. So that strength is really a double-edged sword, and typically that isn't a big deal. However, with where it is now, a significant Bitcoin move to the downside would really throw a wrench in this chart, and it would change it from what looks like a, I don't know, airport landing strip, I don't even know, into a trampoline, into a pit, I don't know, trapdoor. Make up your own comparison. But yeah, so I don't want people crazy FOMOing in. If having the ADA at $1.31, maybe not a bad place to begin, like a DCA strategy. But I also said that is I'm not trading here, no trading, if any altcoins pop off in Bitcoin pair, I'm gonna look to lock in some profits. But I'm not shorting or longing or no, not in this chop. I can guarantee if you set a stop loss, it will be hit. I can almost just guarantee it. And it doesn't even matter what kind of position, long, short, almost guarantee it gets hit, even if you're right. So say you're bearish and you look to open a short, right? You open a short, I almost can guarantee that price will move to that stop loss, hit it before dropping. So that's in the scenario you're right. If you're bullish, you think it's going to go up, you open a long, I almost guarantee that we're going to go tickle where all those stop losses are before going up. This chop is not good trading. And good traders, very importantly, don't know just how to set up a trade, how to build a trade. They know when not to trade. Right now is a no trade skis for me. I'm sorry, Cal J, I just saw that pop up. Your turn. Stick it to the man. That's right, Jeff Blanks. You stick it right to that. Right to the man. Mr. Cal J wants to look at XRP. You know, with no sound this whole episode, I think that's also really throwing me off. I don't even need to wear it. It's not doing anything. Alright. Yes, of course I can, man. I meant to. I meant to do it. I would have done it for you. You didn't have to tip me, but I do appreciate it. So, firstly, I don't know when was the last time I looked at this chart. Let's kind of recap here. Looks like the levels that we had spotted out were perfectly on point here. All right, so we have that 51 cent support. Looks like in June, actually. Weird. No, okay, yeah. In June, tested it as support, bounced. This is not a very convincing bounce, though. That I will say. This is kind of ugly. It kind of looks just like that. If you lose 51 cents, things look very bad for XRP. Very bad. You do not want to lose 51 cents. You have this really strong, awesome, kind of flat-topped breakout. And this is your last support. If you lose this, you don't have support till what, 35 cents? 25 cents? We're talking here? It's dangerous. Dangerous. I don't like that it looks like a momentum leg, but let's take a look at some other thing. Oh, this is a 12-hour. Let's zoom it out because that's always what we have to do. We're never going to get a whole picture looking so zoomed in. So we do have a quarterly support at 57. Okay. Okay. $57. I didn't catch that one. This is probably an old chart. There we go. 58.2. Okay, so we do have a little bit more. I didn't see that one in all honesty. I didn't know that was there. And resistance above. Cool. You do have a strong resistance at just under 80 cents, a strong resistance at just under $1, and a even stronger resistance at 2. What I'm gonna say here, and this is probably not what people want to hear, this chart reminds me of something. And unfortunately, it's not something good. Does this remind anyone else of anything with this wick? I'll give you a second while I find it for you. This. That reminds me of Bitcoin 2018 to 2019. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. These are two different time frames. This is the monthly XRP. We're looking at the quarterly. But here's the resemblance for me. Is 2019 high, the monthly level, the close. Swinging low, testing that close and being rejected. That's where my mind went here right away. Let me see if anyone else can see that. Maybe we should look at the monthly. So there's the monthly level. There's the rejection from it. Same thing. It's actually spooky how similar that is. Monthly candle closes, monthly wick rejection. Candle closes, wick rejection. Let's put this on the 1 month, because that actually is very, very spicy. It's there on the monthly. Not quite as bad. Not quite as bad, but still there on the monthly. Interesting. That's something of note. It's not necessarily something I would trade off of. I just don't like it. That gives me kind of a bearish first taste. Not a huge fan of that. So you have that 51 cent support. You did buy back up after testing it, close above 62. So there is still support here. This whole chart's going to come down to, do you break that low? You don't want to break that low. Right now, you might not be. That's a decent bounce. Unfortunately, your momentum is still in selling. Still selling momentum. Crap. And it's still increasing. We haven't seen it wane yet on a weekly scale. So it's a big scale. This is what we were looking at, and this is actually going to be really different from Bitcoin if you watched or go back and watch the beginning analysis on Bitcoin. If we look at the weekly, we're actually in the exact opposite scenario. Well, maybe not exact opposite, but very different. And Bitcoin people are thinking is bearish. So 4 weeks now, potentially, with this close, if it closes where it is this weekly, there'll be 4 weeks of waning momentum on the weekly. XRP hasn't closed a single waning momentum candle. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That's not great. That's not great. You don't have any divergence here on your RSI on the weekly. That's not... Man, this is an ugly chart. This is an ugly chart. But this is longer term, probably than a lot of you are thinking at home watching. So we'll get a little closer here, but I see something that might make you a little more comfortable. 79 cents here. This was not back tested. Neither was your 20 weekly. So it would not be insane to see price go test these levels. It might take some time, actually. We could see this 20 weekly roll over. And then price could just, I don't know, do some gibberishies. And then come meet it, test it. If it rejects, that's bad. If it breaks it, back test it, that's good. I could see that kind of setup. This actually looks like I drew a dinosaur now. That's trippy. Yeah, those high time frames do not look good. I'm sure that's not what you were asking me, but what I saw was that gripping that I had to just look at it. On the daily, things are pretty similar. We actually looked at it at the start. Under the 200, same as Bitcoin. Hasn't had its death cross on the daily yet, but that's okay. I'm just not a fan of these resistances above. Jeez. Hopefully the lower time frames have something. Something? Bueller. Alright, there you go. Here's something. 4 hours waning momentum. So there's the first time we've seen momentum, selling momentum, wane off at all. It's not good. I'm not a fan of this chart, man. I don't like this momentum leg setup. So you have momentum leg, sell off, momentum leg. So that's like 1, sell off, 2, sell off, 3, question mark. Better hope that 51 holds if you do see that sell off. Man, with those longer time frames, I don't even want to look at that chart anymore. I don't even want to look at it. It gave me creepy 2019 vibes. I don't like those. I don't like those. So 2 hours to go till this daily close, the 12-hour close, the 4-hour close. And this candle is shaping up to be what we were speculating. Interesting. I don't know if Lewis is still here, but keen eye today. You might have caught this. You might have caught this early. After establishing on a short time frame, this is just the hour. After establishing a descending high trend, selling off, double bottoming, finally broke that descending trend. It was only in place for like 3 days, maybe. At your hourly local resistance here, rejected, but here's what Mr. Lewis pointed out, and now I'm liking it more and more. Is that's a pretty clean back test of that high trend. This could be a bump and run kind of scenario. All we need to do is break that neckline. Say it again. Break that neckline. So that would look like this. I think that fits a bigger picture here of a rounding price action, which can be a sign of exhaustion in a market. Rounding, less rigid, less volatile price action. I think that really appeals to my eye, at least. This looks really clean. We'll see. Until 3377 is broken, we don't have any of that pattern. We just have the potential bump. We have seen, especially in bearish market conditions, we have seen these descending high trends break, back test, and instead of breaking that neckline, finding support and bouncing, it does something like this, or it kind of just skips down the trend. We saw that in 2018. I remember that so clear. Just kind of skips down. It doesn't find support. It doesn't spring. It just kind of noodles down the trend line. And of course, it eventually does just snap then through it. But I like this. For short-term price action, I like the way this looks. I think it's really... It looks very valid. It looks super valid. Our 618 retracement is of... Wow, this is really clean. This is so clean. Our 618 is right at that open, right where we're looking for price to go test, 35. And what's even cooler is we could have a really... this pattern is probably not going to play out like this. It's going to be too symmetrical, too perfect. Bitcoin's not a fan of that. You can even see it here. You could, oh man, I'm maybe just getting ahead of myself in TA. You can even see it playing out and continuing and forming a second pattern, second head and shoulders. So we have first neckline and second neckline. Back test would bring us like close to the next trend line. That would be really interesting to see something like that. I would love to see that. Well, I'm keeping my eye on it. I know what I'm watching for. Remember, the entry on these patterns, on head and shoulders or inverse head and shoulders, is the back test of the neckline. Not financial advice. But that's all the information you need here. Potentially. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, man. Gotta go later prepping for war. It's probably a while ago. Heading back. Sup, John? Rum. You hope BTC dump. Okay. I hope it dumps for you, man. Distribution over. Now, last part of accumulation. Chillax. Nice name, man. It's anyone's guess. It's anyone's guess. I like this pattern that we kind of are spotting here. Does that mean it's going to play out because it's so pretty and mathematical? No, that's not how it works. But we'll know when it doesn't. We'll know when it's invalidated, where it's invalidated. You have all the information. There's not a lot to know. Ooh, that could be so ugly too. The only issue with this, guys, that I just noticed too, man. Shut up, Beardy. The other thing I noticed I don't like about that potential play out is this. Ugh, that would be hideous. Oh, that would be so hideous. Please don't do that, Bitcoin. Oh, man. Yeah, momentum leg. No, I don't like that. I could definitely see that painting out. And our measured move even. Our measured move from, if this big pattern we just... Small pattern, but this pattern we just drew out. If this does play, our measured move is right back at this high. That's really interesting. 4112, 41322. That's within 0.5%. 0.5%. I like how people are spelling it wick off, like W-I-C-K. Wick. It's a last name, by the way, just so you know. It's like the dude who invented it. Something Wyckoff. I don't know how you pronounce it. I like saying Wyckoff because... Just literally because then I'm not saying wick. That's it. Oh. 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 Where's that meme with the person thinking and all the math going on in the background? I'm just noticing something here. When was the last time we saw this really rounded price action? This is cool. I'm gonna stream label this. All right. When was the last time? Looking at this pattern we just drew, this is certainly ambitious. Certainly very low probability to play out exactly like this, but it does fit a lot of It does fit a lot of the retracement levels and targets we're looking for. They line up with this really well, so it's worth investigating. What it's really looking for is this rounding. We can definitely see some rounding here in price action. You see series of lower lows locally, but the lower lows aren't substantial. They fit a curve. It's never going to be perfect, but you can see it, I think. You can see this curvature. It doesn't mean it can't just break down like this, obviously. But when was the last time we were seeing this rounding price action? So right here is the most, very recent example. This would be the recent example, right? And actually, this was pretty round too, which is interesting. But I just zoomed out and I'm looking at this, right? Back here. You guys remember this? This is like the perfect example of rounded price action. I should put this in a book. I should put it in a picture frame. This is a perfect example of rounded price action. And in typical Bitcoin fashion, didn't go along with what rounded price action would suggest. So, rounded top, you usually look for a break to the downside, right? Bitcoin just gives no F's about rules. Does what it wants. But this is like one of the roundest, clearest, most visible examples of that. So let's look at price action. What happened? What happened? We saw lower high rejection. Everyone remembers. This was the last stage of the wick off. Everyone's obsessed with it. This is the last stage of it. Is that lower high, that consolidation under resistance with a lower high, that leads to the sell-off. All right. Look at the direction of that rounding. I guess this is even rounded. Yeah, this is actually pretty rounded too. I see that. So what might this be? Interesting. Maybe we're seeing something like this. Maybe this is going to be part of a bigger image of it. Where do we go? Maybe something like this. No, it's too big. Patterns are really difficult sometimes to try to like eye where you would put them. Maybe here. Okay, these lows look kind of rounding. Yeah, just slightly lower. Progressive, stair steps. There's a smoothness to them that's important. I like this. This is likely not placed correctly, but I like that. We see that rounding here on a smaller time frame in a bigger picture of rounding. That's what I want to see here as well. We see the first signs of that same rounding, but in the other direction. And I'd like to see that play out on a bigger scale there. Interesting. Interesting. Huh. I don't know what YouTube's doing today. Let's try this. Look at that. Okay. Maybe that'll help. I like this chart, but let's look at this. Let's get rid of this chart because I don't want people who are just joining us to think that is what, I don't know, what I'm betting on, what I have money on. Don't have money on that. It's just an interesting pattern. I think this is a much more analytical approach here with your resistances and supports just labeled out. You can make that conclusion for yourself. You can definitely see that rounding though. I can't unsee it now. Once you see. Beardy Day, I can use my whale wallet? Okay. Only once per year though, so is now really the time. What's up, iPatwa? Try rounding the 4-hour chart. Bro, you're sucking. I was dropping it. You're sucking me right back in. Right back in. I'm game. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm not sure if you're here. iPatwa. That's actually how that all started. That's at the beginning of the episode, I was looking at price action and literally the 4-hour and said you can see this. What looks like is a temporary. I say temporary because it doesn't necessarily mean long term, but at least a local reversal forming here. We had momentum. You had a leg. You had momentum, and now that momentum is gone. This is now just trading sideways. And to me, that's showing this is likely going to be some kind of local swing low. Sure, it could just come back up to 34.7 and, you know, keep going down. But this is a loss of momentum in my eyes. Does MACD reflect that? Of course it does. Yes. I was about to feel stupid if it didn't. That's right. So we can see that here. There's an example. We can see that momentum waning off here. It peaked on the 1st at 1600 hours UTC, and then it began waning off. So where did that happen? Right about here, yep. Right about here. This is where it wasn't out of momentum, but it's selling momentum, at least locally. This is where it apexed. Increased, 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 increased. It got stopped, like basically stopped in its tracks here and traded sideways. That's a good sign. That's a good signal to look for some kind of a local swing high, swing low. And I'm glad the 4-hour reflects it because that makes me feel smart. So does the 6-hour now. You can't see it as clearly here on the 6-hour, but it... no comment on this. No comment. You see the momentum waning off. Money flow is still negative, unfortunately. Huh. I'm such a space case today, man. See that 12. Nice. So 12, the 12-hour is an interesting spot to lose momentum, to lose selling momentum. Very interesting spot. We have an hour and 45 minutes left. 3, 3, 5, 10 gives us a 12-hour bullish engulf, closing above. On the daily, that same level also flips this candle to green. If you guys were here from the start of the episode, you'll remember the one real new piece of information we have at all versus yesterday is this daily 32.7. We have 2 wicks. You know what? Actually, even I'm getting ahead of myself. We have an hour and 44 minutes to validate a double bottom on the daily, which I think is a weak reversal, but it is a reversal sign. 33,510 bullish engulf from the 12-hour. Also flips today green, but actually expands on this double bottom, making it a different pattern. If it closes up, ideally it would close much higher, but if it closes green, we don't just have a double bottom, we actually then have a tweezer bottom on the daily, which I am a bigger fan of. We see tweezer bottom here, see a tweezer bottom here, but this is a tweezer bottom and a double bottom. That's right. That's a good... Here's a tweezer. Here's a tweezer. Here's a tweezer. Anyway, interesting. An hour and 44 minutes left, and we're just flirting. We're within $30. We're within $30 of that price. With our shorter time frames waning momentum here, stalling out on the selling. See on the 4, on the 6. On the 12, we don't, which is weird. Which is weird. The 12 just rolled over. I wonder if we close above that 33,510, if this will actually flip back over before close. That would be spicy. I'm going to label this for you guys. There we go. Interesting how Yeah, price just stopped flat there, right? Big, bullish engulfed hourly, boom. Indecision. It's flirting. It's flirting with that price. This chart is looking more and more more and more organized as this day progresses. You know what's really cool and backs up that trend line bump and run? What backs it up is actually the exact same thing we saw. I'm losing my voice. The exact same thing we saw in June. We have established trend line, tested, rejected. We have that same break, back test, and run. Exact same thing. I don't know if you guys can see it, but not only is it the exact same shape, but it's also in the pretty much the exact same scenario. It's like market swing low to swing high. We saw the swing low, back test bump to the swing high. So we have our swing high. This will be our swing low. Back test bump. We're looking for another swing high then. That's pretty cool. That's some really cool TA, actually. Remarkable how similar that is. Especially if this actually breaks. So you can see this exact same thing. It's not as clean on this one, but you broke the high trend. You back tested it. You ran. That's what we're looking for again, hopefully. Well, I hope. I don't know what you guys hope for, but I hope. Only problem is you do have a lot of resistance above you. You know, this pattern looks cool here, but when you zoom out, it won't take much for this to be very bearish. Right there. It won't take much. You can keep putting in higher highs and higher lows here, too. This is the part I don't like, is you could do this, and you're still like, oh, we're getting higher highs. But the problem is you're in an ascending channel. Or you could be very easily in that ascending channel. And what do we expect those to do? We expect those to break the bottom. That would not be good. What we need to see is, instead of a slightly higher high and then a higher low, we want to see it break our high trend, back tested, bump and run, just like we're seeing on the lows here. Well, like we did see, like we might be seeing. Exactly as predicted. Long time. Long time, man. Don't forget to bring it down. 32742. Do you feel it? Dude, it's a solid technical trade, man. I don't know if that was like intended or not. Sometimes I say it a lot. People do analysis differently, and lots of people can come to the same conclusion taking a different path. Oh, yeah. So you might not have been seeing what I'm seeing, but you might have seen your own truth there and come to the same conclusion. I'll tell you what, man, it's not going to take much. We're right here. We're right here. This is such a good example of a rounded bottom. Giggity. We love our rounded bottoms. Yeehaw. There we go. I love my rounded bottom. It's plural. There we go. I don't know if this helps people visualize, but this is the rounding. It's not perfect. Curved lines are never perfect. Maybe that helps, though. I'd like to see that play out. It says we started streaming 56 minutes ago. That's a lie. 109 minutes ago. Right on. Nathan Garden Folks, my brother, tip of the hat to you, my friend. Dude, this is the worst episode, though. Guys, if you're new here, don't take this as a representation. Actually, no, you should do is go watch yesterday's stream. You don't have to watch the whole stream. Skip the wait. I think that's like a minute in. Skip to that. And then watch that. That was an amazing stream. This stream, there were a lot of weird technical issues. I got thrown off my game. There's some really good content at the start about The difficulty adjustment coming up. Implications of it, what's it mean? What it is, what is difficulty adjustment, what is retargeting, why? A lot of good information there. 9 hours to go. We see hash is actually slowing down a little bit because our change, our difficulty downgrade has gotten larger since the start of the stream. Not by much. It was like 27.9. Now it's 28.04. Sexy curvy line there. Eee. All the TAs love them curved bottoms. Big old curved bottoms. Lots of good information on that, but I stumbled through it, man. I was so thrown off on the start. Go ADA. Put an alert there, like 140. If Bitcoin makes that move, if it makes the move into the close here, ADA is going to make its move too. Well, maybe 150. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Don't take this. This is not accurate.